No is episode 5 of Sanda.
That's what I'm talking about, Greg.
Yagiuda is eating instant noodles at a stall with 2 other anti-Saint Nick dudes, listening to the weather report saying that Typhoon number 2 is expected to make landfall in the Kanto region this afternoon, where it will remain for the next month with its strength undiminished. Yeah, I guess the girls in Touring the Apocalypse got caught up in Typhoon number 2.
Yeah, they definitely did. And like Yagiura hanging out with his friends, just like chilling. Also, they're like, don't stay outside, and they're like, yeah, but we're old men, we don't give a shit. And so like they could just get hit by lightning at any point in time, I'm sure. But how long do typhoons last?
I mean, they have typhoon seasons.
Yeah, but like, how long does the average typhoon last? 7 to 10 days. Making landfall usually cuts off their energy source, causing them to weaken rapidly over the course of 2 days. I'm assuming this is hitting landfall, or is big enough. This is why I like Sanda in general, because of the world building, talking about it. Now I have to look it up on the internet. You know what I mean? I'm learning.
Yagiuda talks to the other dudes and is like, so Santa fucking has a heart attack if he falls in love with a kid, right? And that sucks. So does he die the instant he realizes he's in love? Or when they kiss? Or when they do it? And he makes the do it motion with his hands and the chopsticks.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, yo, shut the fuck up, dude. Don't do that.
The other
and
dude
everybody
is like, well,
in the
that's
show stops, and everyone's like a record scratch, and everyone's like, yo, Yagiura, don't do that. That's fucking weird, man. And then Santa pops out, and he's like, hey, man, that's fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, not cool.
Yagiura's like, I'm just saying, I'm just asking questions, guys. I'm just asking questions. And everyone's like, the stupid fucking questions.
It makes sense to me. It's the same with the lying. It's like, what is lying? And when does stuff fall over? Is it like...
Yeah. This is like, I'm just asking questions. And you're like, no, those are weird questions, dude. Like, you asked a stupid and weird question.
Valid
shouldn't,
still.
Sure. Validity aside, stupid, weird, and the fact that your brain went there, little fucking sus, guy.
But the other dude is like, well, that's fucked up when you put it like that. But we don't know. It's just a rumor going around the office. Yagiuda thinks that Santa is basically unkillable. So if he can only die by a predetermined set of events, then that explains a lot. And then I have a note here that says similar on how Fuyamura summoned Santa in the first place. The other dude is like, Yagiuda, you don't have any more intel, do you? If we don't catch him, we're basically going to get fired, and finding another job in Japan is basically impossible these days. Yagiuda thinks that he's the only one that knows Santa's alter ego, and he isn't going to let that info go for free. And then I have a note here that says Yagiuda also wears yellow Crocs. Cuts to the boys in the dorm, and Sanda is looking at Dozono without a shirt, doing the picture finger thing, and he's like, hot damn, boobs don't faze me at all. And Amaya's like, don't mind him, he's fucking crazy, and leads him out of the room. Amaya is like, what the hell was that, man? And Sanda says Santa isn't allowed to have a sex drive. And Amaya is like, oh, did something happen with you and Fuyamura? And Sanda's like, no. But he says whenever he feels like he's falling for Fuyamura, he gets an overwhelming sense of self-loathing. Sanda says, for the time being, he sees her as a child that he wants to protect, and he'll never fall in love or get married. And Amaya is like, well, what are you going to say to you-know-who? And Sanda is like, shit, I forgot all about that. So this is where the end of last episode makes sense. Cuts to Sanda sitting on a bench in the hall, and he has a fiancée who is Nico Kazao, who was the girl from the end of last episode. And she walks up with a broom and then breaks it over her knee and is like, oh, my broom broke. Guess I can't do cleaning duties. See you later. And Sanda thinks that this is why he never wants to talk to her.
This situation, like, they talk about how, like, there's arranged marriage in the future. They're forcing kids to pair up early to say, like, hey, you guys are going to procreate later. Figure it out. Become friends, or we'll kill you or something. But she also has a lot of cat-like properties about herself. Like the eyes having, like, her lashes are very much like around the side of her eye and very cat-like features. You know what I mean?
I can see it. I'm picking it up.
And I was just like, I hate this. Like, cat girls are cute. You know what I mean? Like, everybody likes a cute cat maid outfit, you know what I'm saying? But like, I looked at her and I was like, there's something very off-putting about this whole thing.
Like it's too literal cat for you?
Yeah.
Like those cat double braids she has?
Shut up, Greg. All right, whatever.
No, I see what you're saying. But
Yeah.
Sanda chases after her and says he wants to talk to her about something. And she's like, we got nothing in common, my man. And Sanda thinks that their relationship is only because of the state-mandated marriage partner thing. He continues and says getting married and having kids is now mandatory in the hopes of fighting the declining birth rate, and romantic interest between him and Kazuo doesn't exist. She then sticks some gum on his forehead and tells him she's got to take a huge dump and walks away. But Sanda chases after her and is like, I can't marry you, but the typhoon is raging, so she couldn't hear him say it.
I figured it out. All of her actions are to fulfill self. That is generally cat-like behavior. And I think that's also what it is. Like, she has the cat features. She does a lot of stretching in this episode. Cat behavior. Animals in general. And then, like, she's just, everything is to fulfill herself. She's just like, I'm going to go outside now. Blah, 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 and then, like, runs outside, right? You know, it's like, okay. All right, you are a cat personified, and I hate that. And maybe that's just me, because I'm not, like, a big cat person.
Nah, you're making a lot of sense right now. I didn't think too much in it, but like now that you're saying it, I'm like, I think you're onto something.
I'm onto something. I think she's a cat.
He switches gears and comments on the typhoon and then thinks that he's secretly Santa and everyone at the school is a kid, so he can't get married. And he tells her they probably can't leave school grounds because it's too dangerous. She gets all sultry up close up in his grill and is like, oh, well, we're both 14. So if we don't flirt with danger, we'll never grow up to be well-adjusted adults. She backs off and then says their lives are micromanaged, so if they don't run wild now, she's going to regret it forever. And then she opens up a door and typhoon rain comes pouring in, and she just walks out into the storm. Sanda is like, man, what the hell? And she's like, get out here. It's like being in a washing machine. And Sanda thinks that she's the only one that calls him by his first name, and it's probably because couples are encouraged to call each other by their first names, and he marches against the storm after her.
You know how in The Notebook, every instance of those two being in love is like the most grandiose form of like insane person behavior? Hey, I'm gonna Greg climb on top of this Ferris wheel and jump to your car. Oh my God. Like, that's these two right now.
Like in a rainstorm, and I am only wearing a white t-shirt.
And he's like, dude, can you just get inside, you psycho? And she's like, catch me, I'm over here. And then you're like, dude, you're gonna die, not just catch a cold. And she's like, but I'm behind this tree, hee hee. And you're like, oh fuck, dude. Like, I can't handle this person. They're gonna kill someone. And she's gonna be like, wasn't that fun? Didn't we have such a good time? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're on.
I'm not wrong.
Okay. He thinks about what she said about being 14, and he's like, I can never go back to being a normal 14-year-old. But then Nico runs out and hugs him and calls him husband, and then he gets hit in the head with an empty can. They sit under a tree, and she says staying inside during a typhoon is dumb. And it's rumored that this typhoon is because of Santa Claus, but she doesn't believe it or believe in fantasy characters because her reality is way cooler than any fantasy. She starts putting the moves on Sanda and says they're going to make a sick couple, but then it cuts to Sanda in class and he thinks that he couldn't tell her he's Santa and can't fall in love with kids. Sanda has his head on his desk, but he gets hit in the head with a note. And Nico threw a piece of paper with some poop drawn on it, and Sanda thinks, well, what's the harm of being a kid sometimes? And then I have a note that says, man, she really loves pooping.
Yeah, she's a big fan of it. Cat behavior. She's doing it.
Yeah, maybe there's something more to it. Who knows?
Well, her name is Nico, and isn't Neko cat?
You're like Harry Potter right now. Or not Harry Potter. Who's a detective? John Wayne?
What the fuck did you say? Greg? Sherlock
Einstein?
fucking Holmes?
Who's Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg. Yes.
The teacher then announces there's a new teacher, and then Yagi Uda rolls up with his holly leaves wrapped in bandages and says he's going to be the PE teacher starting today. Fuyumura, Amaya, and Sanda are like, oh shit. And Yagi Uda says that since there was a shady character recently, he's going to focus on self-defense. And he's like, Sanda, you're a class rep. Stay after class, because I want to run some shit by you. Cuts to Oshibu with his heart in a jar next to him, and tells Yagi Uda that it's his heart, and he's currently using an artificial one to stay alive and maintain youth, and he removed his real heart on his 90th birthday, and he is keeping it preserved, and if Yagi Uda fails to capture Santa again, he's going to have his 90-year-old heart implanted into him, and says that before the typhoon leaves, he better capture Santa. So he's had that heart in a jar for 2 years, because he's 92. Cuts back to Sanda and Yagi Uda after class, and Yagi Uda is like, what's it like getting old all of a sudden? And Sanda is like, well, I learned how to put up a fight, and he grabs a jacket and turns into Santa. And Yagi Uda is like, I guess I'm fighting for my life. And they lunge at each other, but Sanda turns back into a kid, and Yagi Uda punches Sanda in his kid face. Yagi Uda is like, what the fuck? I don't want to punch a kid. And Sanda is like, wait, why am I not changing? Am I losing my Santa powers? And Yagi Uda is like, shit. If I can't prove he's Santa, then I'm fucked. Cuts to Nico in her room, eating some squid chips, and Fuyumura rolls up and is like, I want you to keep your hands off of my Sanda. The girls then sit on a bench, and Nico basically just makes fun of Fuyumura, and Fuyumura thinks, man, why did I say that shit? I wonder if I'm dependent on Santa. Nico says they're basically free agents until they get married, so go ahead and make a move on Sanda, because the more people that are jealous of us, the more passionate our relationship will be. Fuyumura stands up and tries to intimidate Nico with her stature, but Nico is like, man, that shit don't work, and if you want a boy to like you, you just let him touch your boobs. And Fuyumura is like, that's not what I'm talking about. Sanda and I have something to do together. Nico is like, oh, you mean finding Ono? You did hold that meeting, and I said that lie during it because I just wanted it to end. And Fuyumura is like, man, you lied? That was our only lead.
What was the lie? I forgot.
Oh, she just said that Ono was dead.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Okay.
And then they knew it was a lie because the stuff fell over, so they knew Ono wasn't dead.
Right.
Nico was like, you sure do like Ono. You swing both ways? Who do you like more, Sanda or Ono? Then it cuts to Fuyumura after a shower, and she thinks to herself, it doesn't matter who she likes with a body like this. And when she looks in the mirror, she can't figure out who she is. She thinks Nico is ready to grow into her feminine body, and her voice is high-pitched. And Fuyumura is just a flat-chested, lanky-ass, 182-centimeter tall, deep voice fuck that doesn't know if they're a boy or a girl, or a child or an adult. And it was only with Ono that she could be herself. Cuts to Fuyumura in the laundry room, missing Ono, but there's a knock on the door, and she goes over, and her eyes grow wide. Cuts to Amaya, Sanda, and Yagi Uda eating some ramen, and Sanda is like, why can't I turn into Santa anymore? And Yagi Uda says, you're a kid going through puberty, so shit's changing. Why were you able to turn into Santa in the first place? Sanda says, well, I'm a descendant of Santa, first of all, but also he got roped into some shit because of Fuyumura and Amaya wanting something from Santa, and the more I think about it, I'm not cut out to be Santa. Yagi Uda thinks that seeing him beat himself up about this really just makes him an ordinary kid, and I want to help him out in spite of myself, and it's my first day undercover, and I'm already acting like a teacher. Yagi Uda's a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a great dude if he wasn't, like, shooting Santa in the chest. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we can't all be perfect.
Right.
Cuts back to Fuyumura, and the person knocking was Ono. And Fuyumura lets her in, and she hugs her, and Fuyumura is excited. But Fuyumura is like, Ono, you seem different somehow. And she's like, do I? And then plants a big one on Fuyumura, and is like, you haven't changed a bit. You're not a child or an adult. And I've wanted that free body of yours for so long. And why did you kiss me that day? Ono continues and says she never wanted to become an adult, and she wants to make time stand still, and whips out a knife and says If the alternative is to become an adult, then I'd rather both of us stop time right now.
That's not how time works.
No. No, it's not.
Like, oh no, you can create memories that will be locked in time forever, and maybe that smooch is part of that. But killing each other, not gonna stop time. It marches on. Don't kill your friends. Don't kill anybody, really.
Well, I thought it was ironic because this is kind of what Fuyumura did to Sanda initially.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and she's like, oh shit, this kind of is a little weird. I'm confused. Did I get Uno reversed? What the fuck, dude? I got Ono reversed.
Oh, damn, dude.
That was right there. It was beautiful. We landed. Dismount complete.
Fuyumura's like, shit. Well, let's not do anything rash, Ono. And Ono is like, rash, don't act so mature. Go back to being a nonconformist child because that's what I love about you. Then flashes back to Ono just watching Fuyumura sleep and thinking she had never seen a child asleep before.
Fuyumura also has short hair at this point. Is still the lanky, tall person. Has more masculine, or not masculine, but like softer feminine features. So you can't really tell if early days Fuyumura is anyone. Like Fuyumura is Fuyumura, but seems less feminine at all. Ono doesn't care what gender Fuyumura is. Ono just loves being around Fuyumura, and I like that as a storyline rather than like it mattering what is happening. Learning about yourself, finding the answers to who you are, what you enjoy, and what makes you happy is, I mean, I hope what makes you happy isn't murdering people, Ono, in the future, but apparently that's...
A lot of kids are happy doing that.
Yeah, apparently. It's like, so dude, I'm 14, time to murder.
Yep, we'll see. Okay. Fuyumura is like, damn, I love sleeping. And Ono explains how kids nowadays don't need sleep because of their vaccines and advanced diets as infants. And sleep expedites child growth and mental development. And kids are taught to just lie awake in bed. And then explains all the things that she likes about Fuyumura and why the kids have the same exact uniforms and stuff. Then it has some weird ass scene of Fuyumura and Ono making out, but it was all a dream on Ono's part, a wet dream.
I'm really glad you passed over it because I took screenshots of it. We're gonna pass over it real quick. Thank you. Let's just get through it. Then we're good.
But it was all a dream on Ono's part, and when she woke up, her body had went through puberty.
I mean, not to go back to the part about the wet dream, but like that this isn't what happens, right? Like waking up one day and just having tits is not. I don't understand, but like I get the idea of what they tell kids, but this is. Ono woke up and was like, "Oh my god, I am growing older." It was like a realization of instant growth, like instant, like you remember, like you remembering your first memory and your first conscious memory as a child. That shit is like crazy to think about. That you couldn't remember a fucking thing before that, and that's this to me is like her final realization of like, "Oh my god, I am growing, and I am." Because she was probably gradually developing and whatnot.
It was just something that she didn't notice. And it's the same for like real life. Like I can't speak to girls, but as a dude, you're just going about your day doing backflips and kicking a can down the road. But then you look in the mirror one day and you're like, damn, is that peach fuzz on my lip? Do I have a chest hair?
Yeah.
Do I smell like BO? It's like you start to like realize all of these things. And even though it's been happening in the background, like you don't really notice until it really hits you.
Right. Agreed. Greg, what an eloquent way to put it. I was going to go, you remember your first boner, dude? You know what I mean? Like that direction. Because I'm a child at heart that makes jokes in the dumbest fucking way possible.
You would fit right in the Sanda world. You're a child forever. You're Oshibu, actually.
Great.
Speaking of Oshibu, it shows a scene of him saying that a student going through puberty in his school before graduating is unthinkable, and they'll be dealt with. So that is why Ono ran away. So we figure out that's what happened to Ono. She ran away. She didn't die, right?
Yeah.
Cuts back to Ono and Fuyumura in the laundry room, and Fuyumura thinks that Ono has gotten beautiful. And she has to tell her what Santa said about getting old, and it's not that scary. And she tells her, but then Oshibu appears behind them, nothing personnel kid.
End of episode.
Yes. So I have a note here that says, this whole episode made me uncomfortable, but not in a bad way, in the story building, fucked up world that the characters live in way, how sleeping and feeling are bad, and how kids are basically medically being forced to stay kids, and the developmental impacts of what that means, like kids going on killing sprees and that kind of stuff.
And also, it kind of puts into perspective how Nico is just like a fucking small sociopath.
She does like pooping.
Well, I mean, she just announces whatever she is doing and then relishes in it. Really, really, just pooping. I just think of that Elmo where he's like sitting on the toilet doing the fucking thing.
I was thinking of The Office when Michael Scott was trying to be cool and they're like, hey, Michael, what are you doing? He's like, just pooping. You know how I be.
Oh, literally the first thing. Michael be pooping. Just pooping. Season 6, episode 10, Troubling Rumors at Double Dunder Mifflin. There are literal, like, you can get, like, custom-made, framed pictures of, like, cartoon Michael Scott to put up in your bathroom.
That's a trendy thing to do, is to put, poop-related stuff in the bathroom.
Yeah, I just had books. Is that bad?
No. I'm not an interior decorator. I'm not going to comment on anyone's style.
Neither am I. I'm just a bachelor dude. My living room is a literal disaster mess that one day needs to get organized, but I need more organizational features. This is just to say, friends, you are where you're supposed to be. Don't live by anybody else's metrics.
If you like decorating, decorate. If you don't. It's not like
live in squalor like DJ Montague. Just live in absolute filth.
Yeah, it's called minimalism.
Yeah, it's called the floor is a low shelf. Okay, and you could put things there and they won't move.
Yeah, I mean, my floor used to be my laundry basket.
I feel like everybody does, though.
And then it's like, why do I make my bed? I'm just going to get back in it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That was the comfy spot I woke up from. I want to get back into the comfy spot when I go to bed tomorrow. You know, I'm going to leave it like this.